right. Let me turn off studio mode. How's it going, everybody? The chat, how you doing? Oh, I can't really see Jesse James. I put your name over your picture so the chat could see it, but your white shirt kind of makes it hard to see. So anyway, in the middle here is Jesse James Fain. He's an author. As is our guest down at the bottom there is Tyler Butcher. He is the author of today's short story, Observe and Report. I'm going to get good at this one of these times when I get it on and do the introduction, where I'm going to remember to say the name of the actual stream. Carbines and Cantrips Book Club. This is short story number 4 in the Wyrd Warfare anthology by Raconteur Press. You can see on the side here, I've got that's the cover, and then there's there's 2 story pictures for this one, which is cool. And Tyler, you said Cedar Sanderson was the artist for that one. Did she do the whole book? She's just the artist for the cover and all the story art?
I'm pretty sure she is.
Nice.
I mean, I'd have to talk to someone at Rack or Chris Dino, but I'm like 90% sure.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by. I know you got your drill and your orders going on right now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you got going on right now?
Yeah, so I am an actively drilling member of the National Guard, which is cool. Sorry, whoa, brain fart started over. So I think I'm not sure, but I might be the only actively serving, the only active service member in this anthology, but everyone is served to my awareness. But yeah, I like writing about military guys doing cool stuff because I wish I lived in a world where I could do cool stuff.
I'm sure you probably do. But yeah, I'm about it, dude.
So yeah, I'm at annual training, and I actually have a range tomorrow, so I will be dropping out of the stream early. But yeah, that's all I really got.
Cool, man. And like the character in this does the same job as you, right? You're both Cav Scouts.
Yeah, this is actually my first time writing about Cav Scouts doing Cav Scout shit.
With monsters, though.
yeah, with monsters. I had to make it crazy somehow. No, most like I said before, most of my mainline work is with a mecha universe, Panzer, and then my other stuff, it's like Green Berets or like these Space Force, Space Marines. This is my first time, like, okay, my experience, my job, I'm familiar with it. Let's roll with it.
Yeah. We kind of already talked about it like before we started the stream, but I liked like the narrative style you went with because like what we noticed with each story in this anthology, and Chris has done a good job of like kind of putting this all together as far as what stories he decided to pick and what order he put them in. But like each narrative style has been like different, and it just keeps things fresh. Yours was really cool. Like I don't think I've read a story that was like I told you, for me it reminded me of like the watch log like in the Navy. I can't remember what you said you called it, but like, yeah, basically your mission brief or whatever, your journal.
Yeah, it's basically it is a dismounts notebook from like a Cav section, like a dismount section got out. And I thought back to my E4 days, my E3 days as a dismount. I was like, if all this crazy stuff was happening around me, what would my salute and salt reports look like? But also, like I was telling you guys before the stream, I leave space in those to leave like my own notes to myself, or my own commentary, like things I think might be relevant, but aren't. I don't have enough information for the salute or salt, or just observations about the mission, like things I could bring up for the AAR. Like, man, they did not give us nearly enough water or ammo for this mission, or something inane like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or maybe some bad intel.
And something inane like the things that help you survive. No
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah, like I wish we got priority of fires for this because I see all kinds of targets, but we don't have rounds.
Yeah. Or these lum bombs suck. It was lum bombs, right? Or lum rounds?
Loom.
Yeah.
I'm guessing for like
loom.
illumination. Is that what it?
Yeah. So those are based off like a real life thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a thing the mortars could drop, and it's got like a big flare, like a candle.
Mm-hmm.
Lights up the night. We have those that are IR too, to where like you won't see them with the naked eye, but if you have like night vision on, it's like turning on the sun.
Dang, dude.
We don't typically use them because like most of our near peer adversaries also have night vision. And while our night vision is better, we don't want to make things easier for them, so it's something we don't typically use.
Yeah. Did you have any questions for him, Jesse, that you wanted to ask?
Well, I mean, we kind of already answered some of them because when I started reading, I immediately got the feel of like, okay, yeah, we've got somebody that's done this job, which is really cool. Like I dug that, and I have to compliment you because when the story started, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna like this one, and then by the end of it, I was 100% invested, and like, man, I'm sad this one's over. Like I want more of this world. Like I want to know more about like why are we bunker bustering vampire lords, which hold on real quick. Spoiler alert, everybody. I'm talking about a story that you should have already read. So don't, if you have not read Observe and Report and you care, get out of here and come back later. So I wanted to know more about the like, how did we get here? The story was great. You did a fantastic job, man. Full props. And yeah, I don't know. My big question was like, okay, so what did you do in the military? And now I know. Like, so it was.
Yeah, I did this, but a lot less vampires and a lot more mountains and swamps and some of the stuff towards the end is based off multiple, like we have these rotations, like I was saying, at XETC, JRTC, where you're working with other units. And like a JRTC is made for your brigade to fail. Like people will die, bad things will happen. And so like those last few days, like your platoon has been shattered. You're just picking up like random people that have lived. You're finding like some cooks and like, you're like, here, take some ammo. Like, all right, you're going to grab the AT4 and go sit on this position and we're going to watch this road. And
yeah, when I was reading, I was like Googling all the weapons and stuff because I didn't know like a PKM and all the other like the SVD and like it was educational for me as I Googled every weapon terminology that you hopped in there. So that was nice.
Yeah, I mean that's part of our job is to generally like, if we could know like if we could see like, oh, they got SVDs as part of like the regular kit. Okay, they're probably part of this unit. So like being able to easily ID like what kind of firepower even their dismounts are bringing to bear helps us do our job better. And it's, even if like a PKM versus an RPK, it informs higher with like a Soviet style or Russia style enemy. Mm-hmm. Are we looking at frontline forces or like second line of reserve formation?
So our dismounts, like the name sounds like it implies that they get off the vehicle. So does that mean only like the E4 or the E4 and below do that job, and everyone else stays inside the vehicle?
It's generally E4 and below. Sometimes you'll have an E5. It's usually either an E5, like a sergeant, or you'll have a high-speed specialist, or when they do crop up, a corporal will be like your dismount team leader. Mm-hmm. But usually most of your sergeants are gunners or they're commanding a truck of their own.
Cool, man.
Like I'm the senior sergeant in our platoon and I command our tow truck, which is the missile launcher, not like tow a vehicle behind us. Though I do that too. I have our tow bar as well.
Yeah. I was gonna say, dude, this is the first anthology I've ever read. That's like a mix of a bunch of different writers. So I think if it's the same writer, it's a collection, and if it's a bunch of different writers, it's an anthology. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
that sounds right to me.
yeah,
Tomato.
yeah. I was gonna ask, do you guys think like anthos get enough love? Like I know like fiscally, I think it makes more sense for a writer to write like novels. They make more money off novels, but I don't know. Do you think readers like their anthos as much as they like their novels?
I think anthos used to be a lot more prominent. I feel like with what Rack is doing, shout out to Raconteur Press, the publisher, obviously. I feel like they're making a bit of a comeback because they're on like number 67, 68 with their anthology series.
Yeah, it's up there. I think it's over 50 for sure.
I've seen more like other press, like Bane's doing an anthology that I think Jason Cordova's editing. But like, you see, I'm starting to see like more anthologies around. So I think we might be seeing an anthology renaissance, maybe not within this year, but like definitely within the next couple.
Yeah.
And I think for the reader, like if you love to binge, then you could go ahead and grab an anthology, because if it's like a themed anthology and you vibe with the theme, you will not be disappointed, because you will find something that, I mean, like Jesse James said, like you may not think you like it, and then you're like, all right, this is great. Or you might find something that you think is amazing, and oh, it was amazing. Like MSR Merlin.
Yeah, right. Have you read the story? Have you read this whole anthology already?
I got like right up to my story, and then my stepdad and my mom's cousin borrowed their homies, so they borrowed my copy, and I've not seen it since.
Ah.
No.
How did you like Archangel? That was one of the trippier ones that we've read so far.
Yeah, I liked Archangel.
Yeah.
A lot of the other authors are like, Archangel's probably the best one in this anthology, and I can't say they're wrong.
Yeah, it was definitely a mind effort, dude. I enjoyed it. Yeah, monsters, man. Well, I guess we see the Dracula dude. What is it? HVT Chocula? Yeah, something like that.
They call him Chocula.
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 Such an
Yeah.
idiot.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, dude, I like the tall man or slender man or whatever.
The running man.
Yeah, running man. He was creepy as hell, dude.
Yeah, what is was that just one you came up with, or did you pull that one out?
I literally came up, pulled that running man out of my ass. It's like, there's gonna be this dude chasing these guys. I can't just like explode them. What's the creepiest way I could kill these people? Okay, yeah, that's bizarre as hell. he snuffs them like cocaine. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
cool.
Yeah. Full SCP. Full SCP Foundation vibes.
I was like, Chris is gonna read that and be like, "What the actual fuck just happened?"
Yeah, I liked how you kind of handled your monsters. Like that guy, like we see him a lot, but like he's also very mysterious. We never really know what the hell he was, because like the Army intelligence doesn't know what he is. And then you have like the giant, which I'm assuming it's whatever the big creature is that's like chasing him through the woods. It doesn't want to come across. It seems kind of mysterious. And then there's that weird ball of light that gives the dude a seizure, or basically like a headache from hell. You said in the book.
Yeah, that's
just a bunch of
that was based. Yeah, that was based off the myth of Polybius, like the video game that gives you seizures or like will kill you if you play it. It was like an arcade box, supposedly.
Okay.
I was like, all right, I'm just gonna have like this like cube or like ball of light that just like goes around and like gives people seizures.
Yeah, dude. I like when the Headless Horseman came in, I thought that was gonna be another bad guy, but then like I don't know, it's pretty rad that he ended up being a hunter, and you find out later that he's like has basically a bone to pick with HVT Chocula, and that apparently there's a whole lot of like his monster category as like a known entity. Like headless revenants are usually dickheads, you know, they're usually bad guys, but in this case, this guy, his revenge that he needed was against the vampire.
Well, no, they're all homies, because like they're all gonna end up. Him and the Dismounts are all gonna end up at Fiddler's Green together. That's a Fiddler's Green is like this like poem, I guess. They make you recite it a lot in basic, but it's like, oh, halfway down the trail to hell, the cavalry all end up at Fiddler's Green. And like, oh, they try to go somewhere else, but like they run out of like water or beer or whatever. So they come back and refill their canteen at Fiddler's Green.
Okay, dude, because I wrote that down. I was like, what the hell is Fiddler's Green? So I was gonna ask, but I put that down as a question that I was gonna ask you. I figured it was something like that, some kind of like legend or, but I didn't know what it was.
It's like Cav Afterlife. It was all honestly thrown in there as an afterthought. I was like, it'd just be funny if Fiddler's Green was like a real force in this world.
A real thing.
Yeah.
A real thing. Like all these dudes are gonna end up there anyway.
Right. And dude, when they at the end when they all end up getting promoted and stuff, and they go to Task Force Mulder, that's a beautiful
Mulder.
little,
Yeah, that got me.
little X-Files Easter egg.
Do you think you'll do another one of these, or is this just like a one-off that you just were like it just got stuck in your brain?
Absolutely, just because I feel like this, I'm kind of free to experiment, and I'm grounded in what I know well. And so part of me is kicking myself like I should have written in this world earlier, but I feel like if I started with this immediately, it would have been cringe. But I feel like I've leveled up enough now because I'm like 22, 23 novels into being a writer.
Ooh.
It's like I feel like I've refined my skills as a storyteller enough that I could tell a story like this the way it was meant to be told.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's a Bane. Well, now he's an editor at Arc Press, DJ Butler. But I heard him say his advice for like new writers is don't write like your the story of your heart or whatever as your first story. He's like write a slutty story for your first book. Just get it out of your system, and then like once you've got a few novels or whatever under your belt, then go ahead and try and tackle your magnum opus or whatever.
Yeah, I probably should have took that advice on Panzerder, but I didn't think Panzerder would end up being the story of my heart, but it was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, damn it.
Well, I mean, how many books like are all of your novels in that universe, or do you have other?
No, I have other stuff. I have the Homeworld series, which is about dinosaur aliens.
Nice.
Hey.
Yeah.
I have Constellation, which is about a ghost ship from the future. What other stories I have? I have a project with Wargate right now.
Hell yeah.
That is a little bit of alternate history.
Oh, okay.
But
I haven't read a lot of alternate history. Yeah. Like, well, speaking of DJ Butler, his Witchy Eye and Witchy Winter are the only ones I've read so far. But I dig that style or that genre.
Yeah, it's sci-fi, but it's also like a little bit of alternate history because you have to go. It takes place like in the past, but like clearly like by the end of like the story arc I'm going on, it'll be clear like okay, these events didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
People would have remembered this.
But yeah, man, I was just like, as far as your Panzerder series goes, like I'm sure your debut novel is your debut novel, but I'm sure like you've written enough that it's fun like as a reader, not a new reader, but when I discover a new author and like I start reading their first book and then I go along with like more of their books that they've put out, you can like actually see them improve. And I talk about it all the time with Jesse, but like Larry Correia is one that I've read his first book and like all of his books going forward, not all of his books, but a lot of his stuff is later stuff. And you can definitely see like not that his first book's bad or anything, you can just see that he's gotten like way better.
I mean, I've read Monster Hunter International, love it, and I've read Son of the Black Sword. Son of the Black Sword was our audiobook on patrol when we deployed to Kosovo. And
Nice.
my dismounts were like, me and my driver were into it. My dismounts were like, oh, seriously, we're going to listen to a fucking book. But like 2 hours into it, they're like, oh, he's going to betray him. Oh, this guy's a walking red flag. And if you read Son of the Black Sword, you know exactly who they're talking about. And it comes back to a perspective of the future. They're like, oh, this asshole. That book is also really quotable. For the mission in Kosovo, that book ended up being really quotable.
Oh, yeah.
Like the law is...
No.
Yeah, like, the law is absolute. You have been weighed and measured and found wanting.
Yeah, I just finished that series, dude. Heart of the Mountain. I think that's book 6. Yeah, book 6. Fantastic.
I haven't finished the series yet, only because I'm reading it at the same time as my driver, and we're just starting book 2.
I don't think that Jesse. I think you're waiting for the audio. I don't think the audio is done yet, right? Is that the?
No, I gotta get. I'm Tower Silence. I'm on Tower Silence.
Yeah, I think he said the audio for Heart of the Mountain. I'm trying to remember which one is last. It's either Heart of the Mountain. I think Heart of the Mountain's 6. And Graveyard of Demons is 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he just said Graveyard of Demons just hit audio.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
I think. Don't quote me.
Yeah.
I barely looked at Twitter today, which I'm glad I did because you messaged me to come on here.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, it was short notice. I was like, oh, let's see if the author wants to come on. And, I'd already had you on my stream once before, so I was like, that's easy. I've had a hell of a time trying to find the other authors' Twitter handles before, just to tag them, let them, give them credit. Not credit, but, alert people to them. And you're the first one that I've been able to find only because, well, one, your name it matches. I don't know. I've already had you on.
Yeah.
I think Kentucky Squirrel, tagged you to me, forever ago. So, I knew who, yeah, but I've had a harder time finding everybody else.
People probably think I pay him to.
Uh-oh.
Well.
I had to go anyway, right? I'm actually hop back in. I don't know if he's on a base or if he's at his house right now. But, well, yeah, it's 7:22. He said he's going to do 15 minutes, so he's already gone a little over. I don't know if he's going to come back. But yeah, dude, let's just assume that maybe he's not going to come back, and we can just keep moving on.
Yeah, we can always switch gears.
Yeah.
I mean, I really dug this one. I think this is. I don't know. They've all been really good, but I think that this one tickled my particular fancy maybe the most. Archangel was really good from a writing perspective, and it was that was a really good story. But I think this one just, when I hear Wyrd Warfare, this is kind of where my brain goes.
Yeah.
Is the cool mix of all the different monsters, and nobody knows what the hell's going on because there's all these different creatures, and then it's you know what, screw it, we got big enough bombs. Somebody go bless a bomb.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there was quite a menagerie of different creatures going on in this one. I was like, damn, dude. Which makes sense, because, you got the vampires like the Lord, and he's bringing all these dark creatures under his power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
My desire to bring in the Starship Troopers reference, my desire to know more has definitely intensified. I want to know what he was up to. Because it was we got this crazy Slender Man type, we had the Running Man, this SCP Foundation kind of monster.
Yeah.
Got the Wild Cube. I'm assuming that thing tromping around in the woods was some kind of weird creature, werewolf kind of thing. You know what I mean?
That's what I thought, but the thing was,
so,
it sounded huge.
Huge, yeah.
Like the Alpha in Monster Hunter Alpha. I
right.
finished that, by the way. Fantastic.
So I was really it's God, we're just pulling, we got one everything around here. So what are you doing? What's the scheme? What's the plan? What's Count Chocula up to?
I can't believe I read that so wrong. I was like, Chocula. Whatever.
And I like that, but I like all the subtle humor in this, all the smart assery. When he calls when he's Sausage Major instead of Sergeant Major. If you're not paying attention, you just read it Sergeant Major and keep going.
Yeah.
Or how they. But all the little smart.
I think he cussed out. He was calling his CO a dumbass or something, and when he said the CO's name, they redacted it.
Redacted. Yes.
Or the comment about that scientist getting fired for making the dumbass light bulb
for performance issues.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of humor in the narrative style. I didn't know how. Like you said, I didn't know how I was gonna like it, man, because it wasn't a standard prose. But yeah, I ended up really enjoying the journalist style narrative.
Yeah, the starting off with like, because it's an an after action report and
Mm-hmm.
whatever they call their field salute reports or whatever. Starting off with kind of a dry narration, and the crazier it gets, the more loose the narrator gets. I really like that. I dug that. It's like, because it makes you, it shows an evolution in the story that might not normally be there.
Yeah. Oh man, sorry, just fixing the screen real quick now that it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. On top of that, like not just like outside the story, like the whole antho in general. Like I said earlier, I think Chris did a really good job of one picking the stories and then also like how he arranged them in this book, because it's nice not to get the same, like he said, get the same like MSR Merlin over and over again. Not that I haven't,
Yeah.
that was a great story, but just like to get the same exact thing from beginning to all the way through would get repetitive. And I think he did a good job of choosing stories and placing them in there that makes the pace of the anthology overall feel, I don't know, refreshing. It doesn't get stagnant. In the chat, Alexander Robb said, stopping in while doing the dishes to wish you guys good luck. Thanks for your reviews and live stream. Mallory Childer says, hi all. I think you know who that
Hi,
lady
Mallory.
is.
Yeah. I never heard of her in my life.
All right, dude. Yeah, I feel like I went through a bunch of my notes right there with Tyler.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, it was fun, man. I feel like these short stories are hard to like fill a long like chunk of time with.
Yeah, it takes I mean, in my experience, doing interviews, like when I release a new one, it always takes about half an hour to like cover like a short story.
Yeah.
And so me and you keep running into that. I don't know, man. This one just made me more excited to continue. I almost read ahead just because the whole the anthem got me excited, and then I was into it. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
it's
You know what? Maybe we should
next
try reading 2 stories a week. I don't know what your scheduling's like, if it's too much to add on to your plate or not, but maybe we could try that.
I don't think that would be a problem. It'll make us tear through this a lot faster, but I don't think that'd be an issue at all.
Yeah, we give us a little more to talk about each time we come on here, though.
Yeah. The next one looks like the Blitz, which is cool.
Yeah.
Just judging by the artwork. And I'm really digging, and I know I say this every time we have one of these episodes, but the continued attachment to military history is really cool for me. I was a government major with a history minor in school. I've talked about that, and it's just really cool to like be able to look at the artwork and be like, "Oh, cool! I know, like, I know where we're at." Well, yeah, maybe not what's going to happen, but at least what's going on.
Yeah, with like the flavor and stuff.
But this was classic, like I said, classic Wyrd Warfare. I love the naming, the way everything's structured. The narrator had that great snark to it. I want to know more about Operation Midnight Sun. Like, what were we doing here? Why were we doing this? I hope Tyler writes more, because this is a cool universe where there's these military operations going on. He needs to talk to Hillbilly over at Three Ravens. This is JTF, has JTF written all over it. JTF 13.
What's that stand for?
So, a Joint Task Force.
Oh.
So it's that series, that world is where basically there's like a never almost, if that makes sense. Like, all the monsters come from this kind of attached side dimension. That's where, like, and magic in and of itself is evil and corrupting.
Yeah.
And so JTF 13 is the Joint Task Force for the military, that if the military runs into ghouls or whatever, the regular guys don't handle it. They send in the guys that are specialists, and they take care of it.
Gotcha.
So there's ones all through history. There's ones that's like submarines. There's a bunch of, there's like, I think 6 or 7 different novels at least. So,
Boy, that's a job I would not want. Be a submariner going after supernatural monsters. No thanks.
Yeah, after the Kraken. No, I'm good too. I don't want to be a submariner going after anything, especially not after reading Archangel.
Yeah, right. You know what else? Speaking of like what else, like this IP or not this like, this story, this world, whatever. Like knowing more about it. I want to know more about what this vampire being like a terrorist. 'Cause that sounds very intriguing, like a vampire terrorist. And yeah, I don't know. It seems like a very effective creature to be a terrorist.
Yeah.
Also,
Well,
like,
and
the giants in Afghanistan with the spears.
yeah, well, that's I don't know if you saw that, but that was like I had to say a real thing, but that was like that was it's almost like a meme, like it was like a urban legend, I
Mhm.
guess is the best way to put it. But you can literally like Google like giants in Afghanistan and find dubious news reports about them running into some giant red-haired dude in Afghanistan that was like 12 foot tall that killed 3 guys and then had to be put down.
Yeah, I've seen like
Like,
Google image searches of like the giant skeletons in the desert. But
yeah,
I haven't heard those stories.
yeah. I'll see if I can find one and send it to you. But I remember that distinctly when it started spreading around. Was the U.S. forces had ended up engaging a giant in Afghanistan.
Is it just like on like what is that tab, like National Enquirer type news outlets or?
Yeah, it was like a weekly world news kind of things. Yeah, I just literally the moment Giants of Kandahar are a reoccurring legend within the U.S. military's experience in Afghanistan, and there's a Military Times article from 2022. I literally just pulled it up. I'll send it to you on Twitter. But that was like an actual urban legend that was going around.
I wish I would have known that. I would have enjoyed that part of the book a little bit more. I was just like, what? Giants in Afghanistan? I mean, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Like, go ahead.
it had me laughing.
Yeah, I like that he was like, I could find that a little more believable, but this shit right here, this is really testing my my mental fabric, mental elasticity. Yeah. Well, shoot. What are you working on now? You still doing you're working as an editor right now, right? Or are you already done with that?
Oh man, yeah, I am. I got way too much going on. It came from the Trailer Park Double Wide. Just came out. It just came out on Memorial Day. So that's my editorial debut. But I have for Bayonet Books, I'm doing Biological Bedlam. It's called Chaos Theory Biological Bedlam.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all genetic manipulation stories. It's all like Jurassic Park, Frankenstein kind of stuff. Waiting on submissions. Submissions are still open. If anybody out there is a writer, first-time writer, just loves stories like that, get something into me. I'd love to have it. I got that going on. I have a closed antho that I'll be editing the end of the year. I'm working on a novel. I'm working on short stories. I'm trying to get in with Rack Press some. They've been very supportive on social media and really like I'm part of a writing group called the Alpha Mercs, and a bunch of the Alpha Mercs like publish with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a really good crew. And and actually seeing how they handle their anthos, reading one of them, I'd love to see my own work included in here at some point. So
Yeah, that'd be right, dude. I'm also an Alpha Merc. Still not published, but I've gotten some pretty sweet feedback on some short stories from people in there, and yeah, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still so new and trying to figure out how to do this whole gig. I was gonna say something and I just forgot what it was. Oh, so obviously you being an Alpha Merc and you're familiar with Steve Diamond, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Have you? I can't remember if I asked you before. Have you read the Jack Bishop series?
I'm not.
Okay. When you said like the what do you say, biological badlands or whatever?
Biological Bedlam. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely seems like that story or that trilogy would probably fit in there pretty good because there's a lot of crazy. There's a lot of like psychic ability kind of things, like kind of X-Men type stuff, but then there's a lot of experimentation with like werewolves and these weird things called hounds, which basically are like bastard werewolves, where they took like werewolf DNA and mixed it with people, and it made this freaky looking like
Yeah, why not?
hairless werewolf looking creature.
Sounds like a brilliant idea. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, it's a cool book, man, or a cool series.
Yeah.
The only thing the only gripe I had about it was with the last one, the third book. I kind of wish it was like 2 books, so it was be a 4-book series instead of a trilogy. But oh well. Well, dude, yeah, I think we should probably try and do 2 stories, because one story I just feel like there's not enough content to really chat about for too long.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: what are you writing on? What are you working on?
I'm right now. I am working on. I just actually finished my outline. Well, for the most part, I'm not going to be super rigid to the outline, but it helps me at least get the idea of what I want to do as I start going forward. So I'll probably throw in a few extra chapters here and there as ideas come to me. But it's military sci-fi, probably I don't know, a century and a half in the future.
Okay.
So you actually got the idea when you were like, oh, Arc Press is doing this thing where they want it set in 2076. It's not, or involving 2076 or something. So like in my world, World War III basically happened in 2076, and the world was destroyed. Now it's a century later, basically, where the current plot takes place.
Nice.
Yeah, but there was I need to work on my elevator pitch, man. I don't know how to throw it out there in a condensed fashion. It doesn't take me forever to explain everything. Basically, there are special ops guys that were killed during that World War III who were targeted by the government that was on one side of the World War. That was like a mega world government. They won. They're the bad guys. Now they control. Basically, they've moved out. As they destroyed Earth, they moved out into the solar system. Have colonized. I haven't like broken up into sectors. So there's like a supreme leader of each sector of the solar system. So there's like the Luna sector, because there's this trash. So there's like a Luna colony. So there's a Luna sector, a Martian sector, basically a sector for every planet. Anyway, that government during World War III had targeted like special operatives from different countries and basically assassinated them to steal their brains. And they were working on this project called Project Revenant, where they wanted to like take the brains and put them inside a robot, basically like RoboCop kind of deal. I really got to work on getting this condensed, because I'm trying to figure out how am I going to explain it without just going super deep into all the things I got going on. It's kind of like Doom Warhammery. Like I'm gonna have Michael the Archangel in it. But anyway, I really don't know how to explain it without taking forever. Yeah, these super soldiers go down, and cool. The government. So basically, there's like this terrorist attack on the lunar colony, and like the big wigs get all freaked out. They're like, okay, because they don't know that there's any Terran survivors. So like all the Earth people that were left behind when all these bombs dropped and made the Earth a wasteland. Some of them went underground, and basically, I think I'm gonna give a huge spoiler. Whatever, it's not. I'm not even. Anyway, the Archangel Gabriel basically comes down and like kind of scoops up the survivors underground, and basically becomes. This is not correct theology for Christianity or anything like that. This is like a total like I'm just taking like the little bits I know about it and going down some kind of like Darksiders type side tangents.
I gotcha.
But yeah, anyway.
I like that comparison. That's a cool comparison.
Yeah, so the Archangel Michael comes down and basically becomes like the king of humanity to kind of like save those who are left behind on Earth. And then so there's 4 of these revenants, right? So they're kind of like the 4 horsemen. Anyway, the bad guys are called the Solar Union. This is taking me forever to explain, sorry. And Earth is basically just the only thing that's on Earth, according to them, is just the mines that they left behind to extract like, all the minerals out of Earth to build their spaceships and whatnot, all that stuff. And so anyway, the Terrans come up. I'm doing such a bad job at this, man. I suck at this. There's a bacteria, right, that's deep underground that produces electricity, but like an insane amount of electricity that the Terrans know of, and that's how they basically were able to survive. They turned it into a technology, and they have all this crazy, cool technology down deep underground. But anyway, Solar Union, they're drilling for materials, and they kind of go exploratory. They find the bacteria, and that triggers the Terrans to like basically start attacking the Solar Union. They destroy a bunch of mines, and then they do a terrorist attack on the lunar station. And so the lunar colony finally decides to they kind of rush, because the Revenant project has been a huge failure. They have not been able to get the human brain to meld well with RoboCop bodies at all, and they're basically down to like their 4 last brains. Like most of the sectors have just scrapped their projects. Lunar colony only still has theirs because they still have viable brains to try. Yeah. Anyway, these guys come back, they go down to go F shit up, yeah, that's basically it, dude. It's a mill sci-fi story. I don't know how. I really got to work on my elevator pitch, because there's like so. Every time I try to start say this happens, well then it's gonna like switch and go this way. I'm terrible at that.
Yeah, those you got got a little bit of everything, kind of a mixed genre. We got some religious kind of sci-fi vibes going.
Yeah, I hope it's not too much.
Sounds
I hope
good.
It's not like too hard to keep track of, or like I'm trying to dip my spoon into too many dips or whatever.
I don't. If it's well written, I don't think you can. Like that's a big thing. So like my big, like Tyler said earlier, like, hey, don't write your big thing first. My big thing that I'm starting to try and like get kicked off and introduced is meant to be genreless fiction, genreless pulp fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole point of The Holy Diver and the Midnight Sea is that it is sci-fi, it's fantasy, it's incense punk, cyberpunk, steampunk. It's all of it. It's all of it in one thing.
Yeah.
And it's, everybody getting pulled into one spot where you can pick and choose your characters as you want to, and then run what happens. And so I think that's really cool, man. I think it's been done before, but it's going to happen again. I think, like we talked about earlier with Anthos, I think Anthos are underappreciated, and all the stuff that was really popular in the 20s and 30s is going to be really popular again. And we're going to go back to weird tales. Mm-hmm. We're going to go back to crazy, far future. The numbers are just going to change, and we're going to be doing really awesome sci-fi fantasy stuff that's all blended together, Flash Gordon kind of style. And so I'm about it, man. Mix your stuff up, make something original. There's been, the single genre stories have been beat to death. They've been written, remixed every way there is.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of creativity left when you start playing mix and match.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I started off like I just wanted to have kind of like a Halo, like a tribute to Halo kind of story. And then like Doom snuck its way in there, basically. Yep. So I was like, I want to start. I guess it's not published, so I can't really give a spoiler. And the chances of somebody watching this and be like, "Oh, he spoiled this book for me," if it ever even gets published, I guess I just say it. So yeah, basically, they go down. The Revenants go down to basically figure out where this. So what the terrorist attack is this nanovirus, like super small, self-replicating little nanobots, was released inside this cargo port of entry in this colony, and then whenever it infects a droid, it basically turns the droid into like a 28 days later zombie, but it's a droid, so they're super strong and hard to kill. So they just murder everybody that's basically in the area until the colony manages to quarantine the area with the blast doors. And so basically there's this part of the colony that's sequestered, that's full of dead bodies and insane droids. And the guy that took over the project, and there's some things going on behind the scenes that kind of, it's not just like a coincidence that like, oh, this attack occurred at the same time that this guy that's in charge of the Revenant program just happens to be on the verge of succeeding. It was kind of like, basically it was like self-sabotage kind of thing.
Right.
So anyway, the project gets rushed, ends up working like for the last 4 brains that they had to use. So the 4 Revenants come out, and the reason they want the Revenants is because like their thinking is that the nanovirus that's corrupting these droids is corrupting their artificial CPUs, and they're like, okay, well, these guys have organic brains. They'll hopefully because they noticed none of the humans were affected. They were just murdered by the crazy robots. So anyway, the Revenants go in, kill all the bad robots. go down to Earth looking for the source of who, sent up the virus, the Terrans. And long story short, they find out that the Terrans didn't. It was like the Luna. It was the SU basically unleashed the virus on their own people, because while the Terrans did attack the mines, so there's a lot of unrest because it's like a communist regime. There's a lot of unrest with the population, and that attack on Earth, though it was real, didn't really do anything to affect the population because it was so far away. So it didn't really bring anybody under control to like, oh, we need to get our shit together, we're going to get attacked. So basically the powers that be in the Solar Union attacked themselves and blamed it on the Terrans to kind of, one, to quell the civil unrest, and then to also justify like launching an attack at Earth and going down, because they want that bacteria, because what they're having an issue with is they can't leave Sol, or they've sent out HAB ships, but they've never heard back from them. So they don't really see it as a viable way of getting out of the galaxy or the system. So they've basically designed these port gates that allow them to jump to certain areas a lot faster, but they can't generate enough power to actually, like, they've done like individual sized ones, so like a person can walk through it and go to another station on a different planet. That's fine, but you can't send like massive forces. So they're trying to figure out a way to power these massive ship gates, and that's where they found this bacteria that's like, I totally stole this idea from the Land and Sea series. The aliens show up and they have this sweet bacteria that powers all their technology. So yeah, that's where I got the idea. But it's like a bacteria that lives, it's an extremophile, lives way, way, way down deep, like where humans can't even survive. That's a whole other part of the story, that the Terrans found a way to live so deep underground. But yeah, they find out that the Terrans, when the Revenants go down, they find out that the Terrans weren't the ones that unleashed the bomb. Long story short, the SU ends up turning on the Revenants. Like, basically, they have like a kill switch. So they try to like kill them. And I'm totally jumbling this plot, so forgive me. But so I call every leader of every sector, I call him a sectoran. So the Luna sectoran, basically, when she opens up, she gets this bacteria, and she actually does open up the gate. This is where the supernatural comes in. It when it opens that gate up, it tears into this other dimension, basically hell, that they refer to as the byway. But yeah, so when she first does it, she starts to get like basically possessed. She hears voices, and she's super power hungry, so she kind of gives into the voices and wants them to help her get the power she wants. And so they basically tell her that like the demons can't exist on our plane, like in their physical bodies, but they can possess bodies. And so she tells them, or they basically glean from her, that the Revenants are a thing, but they can't just possess an empty Revenant. They need a brain inside the Revenant. And so basically there's a bunch of like extra Revenant bodies laying around, because it's a really old project that never came to fruition. But so she has like, I think I chose for whatever reason, she has 199 Revenants that are just empty. So she basically kills 199 people, puts the brains in there, and puts demon souls inside these 199 Revenants. So there's a little bit of like switching sides in this story, where like the Revenants wake up. They have no memory of who they are. They're basically just kind of like programmed, like, okay, you're our operative. But slowly they kind of get their memories back, and they're like, dude, we're totally on the wrong side. Kind of thing. And
cool.
They switch sides, and that's basically the story, kind of.
Gotcha.
I really got to find a way to do that. Do you practice elevator pitches, man? Do you write them down?
So I try to, as much as I can, I try to either do like a one paragraph, or I try to do a like a comparison. So I could go into with Leo, with Dead Wolf as one of my stories. Like, he's a Green Beret necromancer. Mm-hmm. That's just the easiest way for me to throw that out there. Leo's a Green Beret necromancer. Like, he's a Green Beret necromancer. He kind of gets the Harry Dresden treatment. Okay. And people are like, oh, okay, cool. Like, because most people know those things. But at the same time, with something like with the Holy Diver in the Midnight Sea, That's a super complicated thing. But if I look at people and I'm like, hey, think Shadowrun meets Sliders, which a
Oh,
lot of people never
Sliders, dude.
watch Sliders.
Dude, yes,
Yeah,
I used to watch it every week, dude.
but that only works with a certain generation. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so if you're not of that generation, then you're gonna be like, what the hell, Sliders? Like that's, my kid, my stepdaughter, there and have no idea what Sliders is. So you kind of gotta have more than one. Um, and so so I try and have one of each for everything,
Yeah.
and that generally covers most people. Um, but some things are just hard to explain, and sometimes if you're still crafting the story, maybe you don't even know yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a discovery writer, so if people ask me halfway through a story, like, well, hey man, what does that have to do with that? I'm like, dude, I don't know yet, I'm still writing this. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, don't ask me how this ends, I don't know.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I feel like I'm a blend. So like I'm doing my outline, but I'm kind of like just doing discovery while I'm outlining, and like I don't just do like, okay, like here's chapter 5, and I'll do like a couple sentences. Like sometimes I'll write out like over 1,000 words in my outline just for this one chapter, because things just kind of come to me, and then like I'll go on to the next thing, or then like I'll be thinking, I'm like, oh no, what I wrote there doesn't work, and I'll like go back, okay, I need to change it, move this around. So yeah, I don't know, man. I'm so new at this, and like I was not a grammar expert growing up, so I'm like trying to like go back over and learn my grammar rules and kind of get that squared away. And I know like it's not like you don't need to be a grammar expert, because that's what editors are for. Not that you should have terrible grammar, because I'm sure they'll probably just tell you to F off. But like you don't got to be like a pro, as far as I
Yeah.
know.
Well, I
But I'm
mean,
learning.
I am an editor, and I can tell you that a lot of it is just double checking a book every once in a while and making sure that you communicate with your author, because there's a lot of authors, really good authors, that violate the rules on purpose. Now you got to know the rules before you can break them, but like
Yeah.
there's style is a thing, and when you're communicating through a written word, that style is important. For the last one that I just released, um, the running gag is the same as, I don't. Did you ever watch Tiger King?
Yeah, dude.
So okay, so the way Joe Exotic talks about Carol Baskins, that bitch Carol Baskins, right?
Yeah.
Well, I had a bastard, that bastard Carl Perkins, like, and so it's meant to be with that exact emphasis, like, and it happens like 12 times in the story, like that, or this bastard or that bastard, but I had to convey that in prose. And the only way I could think to do it was I bolded and italicized bastard.
Hmm.
So it just makes it just pop off the page at you. Like, that bastard, that is 100% a violation of any kind of publishing and grammar rule.
Yeah.
But to make it happen and to convey what I needed to convey, because writing is meant to convey human speech, not the other way around. Like, and people forget that sometimes. It's like, if I'm telling you a story, the origin of fiction, of speculative fiction, is what we're doing right now. Sitting here, person to person, I'm telling you a story.
Yeah.
So I want what I put on the page to emulate what we're doing now, not the other way around. And there's a lot of people that get hung up on that. So don't worry about all that. Anybody listening, don't worry about all that so much. Don't get me wrong. It can't be utterly full of grammar mistakes. You'll give your editor a headache. But basic sentence structures, your flow, your how it reads, read it out loud, all that's way more important than, do I need to put a comma here? I'll fix that crap later.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, that's where like last year I really started, because I always like to read, but I've never like, okay, hammering out a lot of books. And last year I was like, I'm going to start just reading a boatload, because I need to just see a bunch of different styles and how people do things. And one also, if like for me, I was like, okay, I'm getting out of the Navy. I want to be a writer, because like playing D&D, I was like, oh, this is cool. And I was just like making characters left and right and like world building. And I'd always like wanted to be a writer, but it was just something I was like, oh, that's way too difficult. But then I was like, oh, maybe I should give it a try. So I was like, I'll go to school to be a better writer. Bad idea for me. I can't really recommend it. going to college specifically to be a writer, unless if you just want an English degree, sure. But I found that it didn't help. I found what helped me way more was listening to writers that I like, listening to their podcasts, so like the Writers Dojo podcast was so insanely helpful. And like Steve says a lot, he's like, we do this to try to demystify, and that's a great word because they really do kind of demystify the process. Because college professors don't. They make it seem like this high falutin, just like, pinky out.
Peek out.
Genre fiction is for plebs. We focus on literary fiction here. It's just, I don't know if any of them are even published. If they are, probably nothing. Like none of the stuff I read, I would really want to read on my own. So, I didn't find college. And then on top of that, you take so many classes that have nothing to do with being a writer that take all your energy away from honing that craft. So I personally it's not for me. I didn't recommend it. I don't recommend it unless it's just something you really want to do, then go for it. But writing, reading a lot, and listening to people that are doing it, are published, that kind of know the business side of things and the craft side of things in a way that like writers that I would want to read, I found to be way, way more helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The thing, and then like doing a lot of self-reflection while I'm writing, saying, okay, this doesn't work. I don't know if I've told you, but this is like the third time I've been trying to write a novel. The first time I just went straight discovery, and I couldn't do it. I was like, I'm not a discovery writer. And then the next one, I don't know. I just wasn't. I think I outlined like half of it, and I'm like, okay, I'm tired of outlining. I'm just going to go do discovery. And again, I got to the point where I stopped outlining, and I kind of pittered out. It's like, okay, this time I'm going to do it. I'm just going to outline the whole thing first. I'm not going to start writing until I've at least got the whole story structure in my head. And so far it's working. But now what I've noticed is sometimes I get stuck writing, and I feel like I'm trying to put in what I think is like good, or like what I think people want, rather than just like writing something that sounds cool to me, or that I'm having fun with. I'm like, okay, is this the right thing to put in here? And it's slowing me down. So I've kind of been working on pushing that little editorial thought out of my head, for my rough draft, at least for my draft one, so I can get something down.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's hard. This is one of those things that every individual is different. Like people can talk about, where you were this type or this type, but the truth is everybody's somewhere in the middle. I don't outline on paper, but I will absolutely spend 2 months like going over stuff in my quiet moments. I will absolutely, just like if everything always hits me behind the wheel or in the shower, because those are the places where you're just going, automatic, right? Your brain can do whatever, as long as you're paying attention to the road. And music's a big thing with me. Like music really, like most people, if they do music, they do like movie soundtracks or stuff that doesn't have lyrics. I've got my heavy metal going full blast. I got Kubla Khan and Lorna Shore and, classics like Dio and all that. I've got all that going full blast all the time, because that's a line will hit me and become an entire story.
Yeah.
And, but I don't recommend that to other people. You have to figure out what's you. And so, man, that's part of the process. It's part of the journey. It's just hammering out how to actually make it work.
Yeah, I can't. Lyrics distract me so hard that I end up listening to the lyrics, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be writing. I mean, I could do like if I'm drawing, which I haven't done in forever, but like, I could do lyrics with drawing. But I don't know, writing, like I get my brain like catches on to the lyrics, and I just like stop like thinking about my story. I can't do it. I guess it depends on but I don't know. I've tried a few different. The only thing I had that worked pretty good was I don't know. I was writing a story that had like a very like Slavic feel to it, so I was listening to like I don't know, that bands that were from that area, like Rammstein, which I don't know if they count as Slavic in Germany, but I don't know probably not.
In a way, I would say
In my head, I was like, this is close enough. It feels like I'm in the area. Yeah. I guess if I was gonna do like a mix, like I'd say my story is probably like if Master Chief was RoboCop, or if RoboCop had to do Master Chief shit, is kind of what my story's about.
Yeah, I mean that puts people in a genre. It puts people with a character archetype, and it's um, you know I don't like comparing on a deep level. I feel like your work shouldn't really compare well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it needs to be individual. But for that quick and dirty, like I just need to explain this to somebody. That's perfect. Uh, so. Um, I think that does it well. And then if you can make like a one paragraph or where it's basically just like who, what, when, where, and why,
Yeah.
each one sentence, then that's a good one for just the quick, like you said, elevator pitch.
Yeah. And then I just submitted a short story for the Bane fantasy competition.
Nice.
I don't know if we talked about it or not, if I told you what it was, but that was basically like paladins that pilot mech suits.
Nice.
It's a medieval, like Slavic kind of thing, but yeah, and they
Yeah.
specifically kill demons. Like that's their shiz.
That wasn't the last Smiter, was it?
Yeah. Did you
Oh,
read
sweet. Yeah. I heard that one.
in the AlphaMercs chat? Dude,
Yeah.
that's funny. You gave me feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. That was a great story. You should totally do more on that one. I really enjoyed that.
that's funny. I honestly like because so many people like you send stuff out to. I didn't even like remember the name. That's so funny. That was you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was. I was like, I've critiqued for almost everybody. I was trying to think like, what story of yours have I? And then when you said that, it's like, no, man, that was legit. That was legitimately a good story.
Thanks, dude.
That's yeah. No, you should do. Like I said, you should do more with that one, man. That had good. Incense punk vibes. That had good. The main character, the old man was great. Like that was
Yeah, I was
about it.
going the old man Logan kind of vibe with him. Is what I was trying to go for.
Yeah. What was it? Whoa. I want to say Wojak for some reason. Something like that.
So it looks like it's Wojmir, but like the way you
Yeah.
pronounce it, because I used Grok heavily to kind of tell me like, okay, how do I give me a bunch of like Slavic names and how do I pronounce this name, kind of thing. And so like it says Wojmir, but like the way you pronounce it in that language is Voimir. So it's
Okay.
Voimir Smok is his name.
Yeah.
Which I have to go look up my notes, but it means like I can't remember, like something dragon or some crap. I can't remember. I want to remember.
Cool.
But yeah, dude, I had fun with that one. That was I don't know. I like Big Stompy. Honestly, a huge inspiration for that was Servants of War. I loved the fantasy mechs.
Yeah.
And
Fantasy Med.
didn't
The
have,
golem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't have like a traditional power source like a regular mech would. Yeah. And I especially like with Servants of War, I like how like it's this indestructible, unstoppable thing, but it has a weakness, and especially with like Servants of War weakness is fantastic, where it gets like scalding hot inside the golem.
Yeah.
And mine was basically just it. The more you do, it drains your body and literally can kill you if you keep going too far with it. It'll drain you to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I hope. Like I said, I haven't been published yet. So hopefully, one of these stories I write out, I'll get scooped up sometime. I'm still practicing, still trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right.
Yeah. Well, that one was good, dude. You should, if you got the time and the spoons, man, keep going with that universe. That was a cool setting.
Yeah, that one. I did like it, and I only really came up like I saw the contest, post or whatever, and I was like, it just kind of came with me. I was like, I want to do this. I love Servants of War, and I've been trying so hard to find like other stories that have like mechs in like a fantasy setting, and I was like, I'll just write one. Yeah, it kind of just came to me, and I loved it. I would like to write more in that world. But yeah, dude. It's 8:00. Okay, so we should probably head out here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah, I don't got much else to say. Thanks for all the, this is what I love about like talking to other to writers on YouTube. Like, you guys have such you've done it. You're you've gone through the process and stuff, and you're on the other side of the process now as an editor. So it's very invaluable. Valuable. It's valuable advice. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm gonna tell you, like, I'm still really new to this. I'm still learning too, and I am. Let's see, June. I want to say it's the 26th. Let me go back here real quick. Let me check it real quick. Something around the lines of like June 21st or something like that. That's my 1-year publishing anniversary.
Oh wow! So all your short
Like,
stories have been after that time that you've been published?
Yeah. So everything came out after that. So my first was Mill Sci-Fi. It's called Children of Fire. It's in Contested Landing, and it's Halo ODST style troopers fighting Lovecraftian horrors on a Dr. Seuss planet. To give you an idea of like the elevator pitch. And so everything that has happened has been, like just in the past year, and I'm getting a lot of success and I'm getting a lot of doors opening, and it's wonderful and amazing, but I still have so much to learn. And so I guess what I'm trying to tell you is, like, it happens fast, and when it clicks for you, it's really going to roll.
Yeah.
And you're not far behind me. You're not far behind me. I read that story. I saw, like, that was a great story. You're producing good stuff. Now it's just tweaking and refining your process and finding the right people and finding the places where you fit in. Like, this has a really high upfront opportunity cost. Like, you pay a lot into it over years and years and years, and then all of a sudden it just goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that from like basically everyone who's like either like reading like craft books or talking to authors. Like, there's kind of a point you get to where all of a sudden it just clicks and you're like, oh, I think I know what I'm doing now. Have you noticed, so this year of writing of yours, have you kind of noticed what you've gotten better at and what you've changed?
Yeah. Some people call it finding your voice. For me, I've always had a storytelling voice. That wasn't the problem. It was how to make it work on the page,
Mm-hmm.
and then how to make it how the repetition worked.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to edit as much anymore. I don't have to fight myself to work on a story as much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like, okay, cool, this is what I'm working on today. And don't get me wrong, the plot bunnies, they still jump up. You still end up, like, I have 4 stories going right now. Like, that's always been me. I'm always going to be that person. I don't recommend that for everybody. For the love of God, don't torture yourself that way. But it's way easier for me to throw these on, turn the music up, and work on the one I need to work on.
Yeah.
And so that's a big thing. Being a writer is not about being a writer. Being a writer is about executing on creating the story and then marketing yourself. And that's what it is. You don't even have to be that good of a writer. I know way better writers than me that will never actually be authors because they can't get it together long enough to do the bloody thing. And so that's, you figure out the system that works for you and you get better at doing it. And now, Pro Writing Aid is a great tool. I use it. I don't use it to generate anything. I don't use it for suggestions. It's just for grammar and things like that. Everything I do runs through Pro Writing Aid because that cleans up all the commas and stuff, and I don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, my Pro Writing Aid finds less stuff now. Like, it's become part of my process. So that's.
Yeah. Do you find that, like, your words kind of come fast? Like, do you write faster now? Like, rather than staring at the page, like, what should I write next? You kind of just get into a flow a little bit better?
Yeah, so I've always been a flow state person. That comes from all the martial arts and powerlifting and things like that. It was like it had to be muscle memory. So writing for me is very similar to that. That's why the music and everything works. Is that's the same thing I did when I was a powerlifter. When I was in the gym, it was throw the music in, do the work. And so that's what I do now. The real thing, I'd say, my writing probably honestly takes a little bit more time now, but I save that time later.
Because you're not editing as much.
Yeah, because I'm not editing anywhere near as much. And there's people, I've noticed that my professional friends, they do one of two things. They either slap it all out and then edit the fire out of it, or they take their sweet, sweet time and then barely edit. And I tend to lead towards the take your time and then barely edit versus my buddy David Batterina. He will start every writing session editing the chapter he wrote the last time. And that's what gets him in the writing and gets his brain back in the world, and it works for him. So like I said, there's no really wrong way to do this. There's no wrong way to eat this Reese's cup. You just actually have to eat it.
Yeah. I think I saw it was I think Nick Cole posted something on X. He was like, my recommendation is just don't stop. Like, just write till you get to the end and then go back. He's like, at least for him, I guess. Maybe it was somebody else, but I think it was Nick Cole. He was like, if I stop and start messing around, I'll never finish. I just get to the end. Don't worry about like mistakes or whatever. Just get to the end and then go back and fix it. Yeah. For me, I feel like I have to. I don't want to move on from like a chapter until I feel like this chapter is solid, and then I can go on. But not that it's perfect. I'll probably still have to go back and edit it. But yeah. So like, if you're doing it like that, are you just doing one pass? Since if they're going slow and like editing, while they're going, are they just doing one draft?
So it depends on what you mean by a draft. So I was watching an interview. I was listening to an interview. Jay Kristoff is one of my favorite writers. And he did an interview at the end of one of the books that he just put out. And on the audiobook, he included the interview. And he was like, yeah, so on my third draft, this is a 300,000 word novel. And he's like, on my third draft, and I about lost my mind. Like, I about spit my drink out while I was driving. Like, third draft. Dude, like, you're crazy. And but he had to, like, leave his family and go to Prague to finish his novel. Like, because it was a vampire novel, and that was a vampire city, and he just had to, like, he was late, and he had to drop everything and go finish this book.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I have a rough edit, like a rough draft. So like draft 1, right? Then I have alpha response, which is the people that are closest to me, my brother, my best friends, the people that will, like, I trust their opinions. Some of the alpha mercs, they read through it, they go through. I'll make edits or changes. I'll do whatever final tweaks need to be done as far as like grammar and stuff is concerned, and then it gets one more go. And in my opinion, if you want to call that a draft, I'm not gonna rewrite anything more than once. If I have to rewrite it multiple times, like truly rewrite it, like, oh no, half this sucks, I got to start all over.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing the rewrite more than once. If I get round 2 done and look at it and still go, man, this still sucks, it's going in the trash bin. I'll move on. I'll do something else, because that's just, to me, that's trying to bang your head against a wall you can't break through. You're not ready for it. I have a novel that's sitting back that is, I started writing this novel in 2010. But it's basically if John Wick was a medieval fantasy tavern bouncer and somebody came in and burned the bar down and stole all the tavern girls, and he's got to go get them all back. I started trying to write that book in college way back in 2010. It's still on the shelf because I wasn't ready to write the book. So I wrote it once. It sucked. I started to rewrite it. It sucked again. And I went, nope, I can't do this right now. And now we're a decade and a half down the road. I'll rewrite it in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. I'll get around. I'll get the time. It'll get published under a pen name because it's ultra violent. It's way too much for my normal stories. It's a whole nother level on everything. Sex, violence, everything, drugs. The whole thing is it's 90s style, like Max Comics, parental advisory kind of stuff. But like I'll get back to it.
It's that
Um,
what's that movie? It's like Dracula with James Wood. You know what I'm talking about? In the one of the Baldwin brothers.
yeah, kind of.
It's so over the top, dude.
Uh, think heavy metal magazine, kind of over the top. That's like that's the vibe I'm going for.
Nice.
So my point in all of that, to make a long story shorter, is I feel personally, if you've got to rewrite the hell out of stuff, then you're not ready, and that you should do something else that you're more ready for, or do it in chunks. You should change the process. So hell no, I'm not rewriting something 3 or 4 drafts. That's not. But that's me personally. Other people, my favorite writer wrote 3 drafts of a 300,000 word book.
I've seen some people do that. Like they legit just like they write it and then they put that aside and then they write it again. Right, like that. Like some people treat it a draft like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, God.
It's like what?
Yeah.
Like I just go back and I'll like, okay, I'll move, like I'll switch paragraphs around and I'll delete this thing out and I'll change how I describe something. Like I'm not like rewriting the whole thing. That's insane.
Yeah, that's me personally. I think that's nuts, but it works for other people. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah, I think it's a good skill to acquire, or I don't know, have. Like what you said, you're like, okay, I'm not ready to write this book, set it aside. To like, not necessarily quit, but to like, okay, I need to put this aside right now and stop and go to something else. Because like for me, like the first book I tried to write, I was like, I'm not ready. Like I can't do this right now. I figure something out. This is not my style of writing. Discovery. I can't do it. So it's like I want to write this world, but it's gonna be. I want to be better at writing before I tackle that first idea I had. And the next one I did, the reason I stopped that is because I didn't have my process fully figured out yet. I was like, I want, if I get a book done and it does good, I want to like be able to duplicate that process again. So I don't want to I want to have a step-by-step process at least. This is how my brain works. I kind of need that rigidness. And once I have that, then I can go out and be flexible and creative around that. But I need that foundation to start with. And I kind of didn't have it figured out with that second book. And that's why I stopped that one. And so for the third book, I was like, okay, I'm going to do something this entire way from start to finish. And my goal, I don't feel like quitting right now. So my goal is to keep plugging away at that till it's done and then try and get it sent out and then go on to the next thing while that's, hopefully getting picked up by somebody.
There you go.
Yeah. I did stop. So like I was writing my outline and I stopped when I saw the Bane thing and I wrote my short story. That was probably the one I've edited. I don't think I edited it. That was like the first, what you read, I think was my first draft. So what I submitted is a little bit different. Like I cut some stuff out, and kind of changed things around, but not much. Like it's still pretty much the same. I got him into the bar faster in the final thing. Like it wasn't him coming down the mountain and haggling, whatever, selling his goods and stuff like that. He just was basically started off in the bar, talking to his dead girlfriend. I leaned more heavy into, the ghost of his girlfriend being there.
Gotcha.
But yeah, dude, I feel like this was a good chat. Like once the book club ended, we just kind of started BSing about writing. I enjoyed that, man.
Oh, it happens, man. Sometimes you gotta take a moment to get your groove. But yeah, let's do 2 next time. Let's do 2 stories. That work for you?
Yeah, that works. And you know what else I forgot that I wanted to do and I totally forgot to do it? Was kind of just give a rundown of what the story was for the chat. So like, we're like talking about parts of the story that we liked, but I forgot to tell the chat like basically what the premise of the story was. So next time I'll do like I did that in the last book I did. I don't know why I'm forgetting to do it with this book, but oh well. Anyway, dude, thanks for coming on. Thank you, Tyler, for coming on and chatting with us. That was awesome. And I'll see you guys on Monday. We're going to be doing 2 stories. So story 5 and 6. I don't know what they're called. I haven't looked that far ahead yet, but that's what we're doing. So yeah, dude, I'll see you next week, man.